Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the presenter preparation session for the 2023 NIGP Forum. And we're thrilled to have everyone here. So again, congratulations on being selected to present at this year's NIGP Forum. And this year, the forum will be held as a hybrid in Louisville, Kentucky from August 19th to the 23rd. And so this year we have two different types of speakers. And our first speaker type is in-person only. And this means that the presenters will only present in Louisville to the live in-person audience. And when taking questions from the audience, you'll only interact with that audience in the seats in Louisville. And our second speaker type is in-person and live stream presenters. And these presenters will be presenting in Louisville live, but their presentations will also be broadcast to the virtual audience in real time. And for this presenter type, it will be really important to also include the virtual audience in any interactive parts of the session. And now for both speaker types, you'll have NIGP staff in the room supporting you, and we'll cover that in depth later on. And so next, let's discuss NIGP presentation expectations. As a presenter, each of you plays a critical role in the creation of the forum experience. NIGP sessions are engaging learning experiences that deliver relevant content that is immediately applicable when participants return to the workplace. Presenters should create an environment that promotes a high level of interaction and discussion. So this means minimalizing lecture-based delivery and instead engaging the audience through questions, discussion, and presenting innovative and challenging concepts and ideas. Now, please note that our focus is on learning. And to support this focus, we ask that your presentations are non-commercial in content and delivery. Now, in addition to expectations for your presentation, let's take a look at some tips for preparing your presentation. Now, when preparing your slide deck, we ask that you please use the NIGP presentation template. Be sure that you're using the font and layouts provided in the template. And you also want to keep everything simple. So you want to have a few main points in each slide that are easily identified, with the speaker filling in most of the details. So any narratives should be in your speaker notes. We want to avoid reading directly from the slides. And you also want to use colors and images in a minimalist fashion as to not overwhelm the audience and give them too much to look at once. And you also want to create purposeful titles. And purposeful titles guide attendees in what to take away from the particular slide. Now, slide titles should be easy to read, convey the main point of the slide, and be no longer than any text line on the slide. And we also want to limit charts and diagrams. Make sure that the charts and diagrams are relevant and that you're not overwhelming your audience with too much data. We also want to tell a story. Now, audiences need to connect with the presenter. So telling a story can really help create a relationship with the audience and position you as an expert. And we also want to limit the use of transitions and animations. You can use them to emphasize a main key point or something of that nature, but they shouldn't be on every single slide so that it isn't distracting to the audience. And at the end of your presentation, be sure to emphasize your key points. Generally, this should be about 2 to 3 key points that the audience should take away from the session. And then perhaps most importantly, make sure that you interact with your audience. This means asking the audience questions, asking them to discuss their experiences, or just simply asking for a pool of hands, just to name a few examples. And the ultimate goal is to keep the audience engaged throughout your entire presentation. Now, takeaways, feel free to provide takeaways. And these can be lists of references, quick summaries, a job guide, or any additional related information that you'd like to share with your audience. They always appreciate that. And lastly, consider using polls, quizzes, and videos. These are great ways to engage the virtual audience if your session is being live streamed as well. And so next we're going to cover preparing for your on-site presentation. And so from now until you deliver your presentation at Forum, we recommend that you stay in communication with NIGP and your co-presenters. So this way, all parties are aware of elements such as coordinating, scheduling rooms, and when everyone is arriving. Also very important, you want to make sure that you pack your laptop. But please note, NIGP does not provide laptops for your presentation, so you'll need to make sure that you have one. And we also don't have backup laptops available. So it's definitely a good idea to have a copy of your slide presentation elsewhere besides your local laptop as well, in case anything goes wrong. Now, on the day of your presentation, before you head to your presentation room, you want to make sure that you check in with the quality control team, or as we call it, QCT. And then when you do head to the presentation room, it's recommended that you arrive to your presentation room 10 to 15 minutes before your session is scheduled to start. And this ensures that you have time to test your technology and just make sure everything is working and just get comfortable with the room. And during this time, you also want to meet with your designated QCT member and or producer. Now, your QCT member will be helping you to ensure everything goes smoothly during your session. They can aid you with tasks such as passing the microphone to audience members during Q&A or helping with any AV issues, for example. And both types of presentations will have a QCT member in the room. And then for those of you who are presenting in-person and live stream session, your producer will be helping you with the live streaming component of your presentation. And so your producer essentially is going to be the voice of the virtual audience, okay? There will be a camera on you that the virtual audience can see, and the producer in the audience will be fielding questions from the virtual audience. So you want to make sure that you met with either one or both of these people before your presentation begins. And once you've done all that, then you can go ahead and start to engage with the audience that's entering the room and kind of just making them feel welcome. And then also just be sure to rehearse your presentation with your co-presenters so that everything is really dialed in and optimized. The more practice that you give yourself, obviously, the more comfortable and confident you're going to feel. And also, just if you want to run through your presentation with NIGP for any feedback or just simply to practice, please just let us know. We'd be happy to help you out with that. So everyone is going to be presenting in person. So when presenting, don't feel that you need to be stuck in the same place for the entire presentation. Everyone is going to have lav mics that's going to be clipped to their lapels. So you're going to be able to walk away from the podium, and we encourage you to go to different areas of the room while you're speaking, and this will help you connect with the audience in all areas of the room. And it'll really allow the audience to see your body language and feel your enthusiasm. Again, we want to simply avoid presenting your slides. Discussions should really be encouraged. Now, for example, from the very beginning, you can use an icebreaker to turn your audience into active participants from the very beginning. And this sets the stage for a successful and interactive presentation. You want to ask questions and take questions from the audience. This allows the audience to interact, and it makes them feel a part of the presentation. And this also sparks conversations and allows the audience members to communicate with one another. And this creates networking opportunities. And networking opportunities are a huge benefit to any forum session. So some of you will be presenting in-person and live stream sessions. And for live stream sessions, keep in mind that the virtual audience, while you're presenting, will only see your slides during the presentation. So there will be a camera on you during Q&A and then before the presentation, but while you're presenting your slide deck, they'll only see your slides. Now, the audience will type their questions and interact with a virtual chat. So you want to be sure that any of your questions that are being posed to the in-person audience also include the virtual audience as well. And each live stream session will also have a producer in the room working with the virtual audience. So again, the virtual audience is going to be the producer is also going to be the voice of the virtual audience and ask questions on their behalf. And essentially the producer will only be focused on the needs of the virtual audience. So they'll be monitoring the chats, answering questions, and responding to technical difficulties for the virtual audience, just to name a few functions. And so you'll want to try to answer 1 to 3 questions from the virtual audience in addition to the in-person audience. So what you want to do is be sure to look at your producer at some points during any of the Q&A or interactive parts of your presentation. The producer will be instructed to raise their hand to ask a question on behalf of the virtual audience during these times. And also, when you're taking questions, please remember to repeat the question that was asked so the virtual audience will be able to hear the question, as if the in-person audience member asks questions, they may or may not be able to hear it based on microphone placement. So just be sure that you repeat the question. And also, don't forget to acknowledge the presence of the virtual audience when presenting. So from the very beginning, a simple acknowledgement such as, "And thanks to those of you joining us virtually," really goes a long way. It just lets them know that you're not only aware that they exist, but that you're happy that, they chose to give you their time. So as in years previous, NIGP has made a presenter resource page available for presenters. It's a collection of resources to help you prepare for a successful presentation. So some of the resources include the speaker presentation PowerPoint template that you'll use to create your slide deck, and just quick guides on what we've covered in this presentation, a guide to tips on preparing your slide deck and the day of your presentation, and a guide to your specific speaker interaction and presentation type. And you'll also be able to access this recording once it's made available on the resource page. And then also you'll have a link to the Presenter Council, which should be made available in early July. So stay tuned for that. So most importantly, final slide decks need to be uploaded to the Presenter Council by July 17th. And you'll be able to download, once again, from the speaker presentation PowerPoint template from the presenter resource page. And you just need to create your slide deck within the template and upload it to the Presenter Council, which again should be available in early July. And we've also prepared a virtual checklist on the presenter resource page so that you know what needs to be done and you can check off these items as you complete them. But right now we're going to pause for some questions. So you can go ahead and unmute yourself if you have any questions and just go ahead and ask them, or you can type them in the chat.
This is Tara. I plan to do a lot of video content in my session. I'm planning to pre-record quite a few skits. And I am doing a live and virtual. So I just want to make sure that the platform's going to work for that. Or is there a way that I can test it like in advance or something along those lines? I'd hate for the virtual audience to miss out on the bulk of the content.
Video shouldn't be a problem, Tara, if it's embedded in your slides.
It will be.
We'll get our AV guys. We can do a test at some point if you'd like to do that. But it shouldn't be a problem. We've got sound that will come, straight through the projector into the sound system of the room.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, this is Cheryl. I don't know if you had a chance to see my question in the chat. Every year I bring my laptop and I've brought different ones. They're all state issued. And every year they seem to not work with the system. And tech tries and tries, and then we're on the spot trying to get ready before we start the session. And then they run and grab one of theirs and I just use my flash drive. So this year, every year I say, okay, maybe we should just plan on my laptop's not working out of the gate for my session. But I heard your words that there are no laptops. And so I don't know what to do about that with the pattern that I've had each year.
That's interesting, Cheryl. Why that is?
I don't know why either. It's the weirdest thing. And I brought different ones because I thought, well, maybe it's the Surface. No, okay, let's bring a traditional laptop. No, and they never work. And I tried different dongles and nothing seems to connect, or they'll see the picture but not the sound, or vice versa. So they always run and grab one and then it works.
Yeah, we have backups in case of an emergency like that. We just don't have enough to go around for 10 presenters in the same time slot to not have their laptop work. So we bring a couple extras, and of course my AV team will do that as well. It could be something, a setting on your, since it's a government issued laptop, it could be something with that, but we'll have a backup plan if it's necessary.
Okay.
Cheryl, if our sessions don't conflict, you're always welcome to use mine if you need to as well.
Oh, thank you, Christy. Wonderful. Yeah, it's the darndest thing. I appreciate it. I'll be sure to be there early and test it out.
We'll be ready for you.
Okay, thanks.
So John has a question about embedded slides, embedded poll everywhere slide in the slides. I think that'll work okay. The thing with poll everywhere is they have to go out either through a QR code. This is what I know this much, through a QR code, or they have to have the app on their phone to participate. Our platform does have polling available. We're still in the build phase, and this is a new platform, so we're still learning as we go. But as soon as we have more information about how polling works, we can get that information out to you guys, and you can choose how you want to conduct your polls.
And Carrie, that's why my team reached out about the Wednesday plenary, because we're going to have a poll in it. And we realized that polling everywhere was limited by paid accounts on how many users, and considering the virtual and in-person number of people, there was just no way to do it. So I appreciate you guys responding really quickly so that we know we can use whatever we have in the platform. So
Sure,
thank you.
Yeah, sure. Sarah, let me just clarify. The platform working for polling in person, it'll work for both. So what we learned last year is folks on site in Boston wanted a mobile app, and they had that virtual platform they had to go out to. So we have both this year, and it's the same platform, the same company. They talk to each other. So it'll be both ways. Both audiences will be able to participate.
All right. Well, remember that NIGP is here to help you build a successful session. And if you have any questions or need any assistance, please contact me. I'm Pasquale Iacoboni at the email address that you see here on the screen. And we're always happy to help with anything that you need. Once again, I need to reiterate that the deadline to have your presentation uploaded to the presenter console is July 17th. And you'll be receiving an email with a link to the presenter page. And Carrie has also provided that in the chat, but you will be receiving an email to the presenter resource page where this recording will also be. And I want to pause one more time to see if there's any more questions.
Hi, this is Elena Hofnagel. I just had a quick question about what you might expect to be the average number of people for sessions in person. We're just thinking about printing handouts and how many we might need.
The max, well, most of the rooms will accommodate around 200.
Okay.
There's one room that's going to accommodate much more because we have to use a section of the ballroom for that that time period. And then there's another room that's sort of a permanent auditorium that will seat probably between 160 and 180. So 200 is about your average.
Okay, great. And if we wanted to send those handouts to you ahead of time so we don't have to bring them in our suitcase or something, is that an option?
Sure. You could do a couple of things. You could send them to yourself at the hotel that you're staying at.
Well, that's a good idea.
That would be one option. We do have a warehouse that you can ship to. I would feel more comfortable if it's just an envelope of handouts if you probably just send it to yourself at the hotel so that it doesn't get lost in the shuffle of the 5,000 pounds of freight that we have arriving at the center.
Okay, we'll plan on something like that, or maybe even just printing them at a Kinko's while we're there.
Okay.
All right. Well, if there are no further questions, thank you so much for joining us today. And we're very excited to see everyone, and we'll see everyone at Forum. Thank you.